He was worth $7 million, and it all started with a hooker bumming a smoke. This next story is crazy too. What's up, misfits? Welcome to the safe haven for all the sickos out there. One time I tattooed this kid named Calvin. He was a young dude, 27, 28 years old, but he was loaded. So we got to talking and I was like, how'd you get to make your money? Man, it's the craziest story. You're not going to believe this. What's up? What happened? He said where he lived in Calgary, it was where the sex workers walked the streets. You get to know them a bit, nod and say, hey, whatever, you see him day after day. It was between his work and where he lived. Basically, he was walking around that area every single day. And one day he was walking by and this girl asked him if she could bum a smoke. And he's like, oh, I don't have any more. I'm just about to go to the store to get some. I know it's out of your way doubling back, so I'll let you keep the change. I'll give you $50. Buy me some butts and we're cool. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And she's like, well, actually, there's a Shoppers Drug Mart there too. I need lipstick. I'll give you 100, pay for it with the 100 and you can keep the change and we're cool. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he does that for her, keeps the change. A few days later, he sees her again and she's like, hey man, you remember me? And he's like, yeah, what's up? I need hairspray and pantyhose. Would you mind going to Shoppers again? I'll give you another $100 and you keep the change. But this time there's another girl there. I need a pack of smokes and I need condoms too. I'll give you $100 if you grab them for me. You can keep the change. So he's like, fuck, okay. And this turns into him taking lists for all the street workers in the area for stuff they need every day. They live off disposable income. It's kind of a day-to-day thing. We built up a little empire of taking lists and buying girls smokes and condoms and lipstick and hairspray. And then one day one of the girls was like, hey man, will you stop by this place and grab me a gram of blow? He's like, why? So next thing you know, he's buying them lipstick, condoms, smokes, drugs even. He built it up that he was making about $1,200 a night just doing runs for these street girls getting stuff. He said these were good looking girls making a ton of money. He figured they were probably making about $1,500, $2,000 each a night. And so throwing him $100 of the disposable income to save the hassle having to go out and get all this stuff turned into a pretty steady thing. 2 years he made about $250,000 doing this, and he bought into a cement company. And then I think he was partners in 2 cement companies, and he was just about to buy a third. He was worth about $7 million. This guy made $7 million, and it all started off of a hooker bumming a smoke. This next story is fucking crazy too. I tattooed a guy once named Phil, and he was loaded too. And again, we got to talking, blah, blah, blah. How'd you make your money? And he told me his story, and it was pretty nuts, man. He and his brothers had inherited some farmland from their dad, and they were building a new highway close to their land, but it was like a couple acres short of touching their land. They wanted to build a road out to the highway. It would save them like some time and money, and I don't know exactly the details, but the chunk of land between the highway and their farmland was owned by some big Alberta refinery. They needed basically an acre or a half an acre to get to the road. So they approached the refinery. Refinery agreed. They're like, yo, we'll sell you this chunk of land. $30,000, I think, is what they paid for it. They buy it. On the property is this old beat up Quonset. I think it was built in the 20s. Like, it was really old, really decrepit. They decided they were going to tear it down. One day he walks over to the Quonset, goes in it, and he's like, wow, it just reeks like mildew and fucking just trash in there. Nobody been in there probably for decades. He's milling around, checking it out, and he notices in the back corner there's these 11 kind of big crates underneath like a tarp. He goes over, pries open the crate, the side falls down, and what's in it? A World War II medical issued Harley Davidson motorcycle, painted up all camouflage with the medic symbol on it, with the accompanying sidecar. Holy shit. Opens a second one, same thing. Third one, same thing. Fourth, fifth, sixth, all of them. He is flabbergasted. He's like, no way. He gets them appraised. They're worth $117,000 each, and he's got 11 of them. And then he sells them to some parent company that stocks museums and stuff all over the world. He kept 2. He sold 9, kept 2 for himself. He made over $1 million on these motorbikes and kept 2 for himself for the future. Who knows how much they're worth now. A $30,000 $100,000 investment to get a chunk of land just so they could build a road from their farm. He figures they'd been there since 45 when the war ended, and that's just where they ended up when the war machine stopped and everything came to a grinding halt. Obviously, they didn't have to ship them over to Europe anymore, so he figures they were in the middle of being transported to Europe and the war stopped, and that's where they ended up, and he ended up with it like 50 some years later and made $1 million. Man, I love stories like that. All right, have a good day, Misfits.